Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Lash Journey podcast. I have such an awesome guest today. I'm so excited. Her name is Mary Harcourt, and she is the CEO of the Cosmoglo light. I'm sure all of you have heard of it. We all have it in our own studios. It's literally everywhere. So I wanted to ask her to come on because I think that all of the bits and pieces I know of her story are just so insanely inspiring, and she is so freaking down to earth. So I knew that it would be great to have her on and talk to you guys and just talk to you about her journey because a lot of you probably don't know, but she actually started out in the lash industry too. So let's get started and hear about her background and just like how she got to where she is today. Hey Mary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I don't even know where to start because I think that your story is just so mind-blowing to me, so inspirational for someone like me. So let's start, I guess, at the beginning. Like, how did you get started? And then, like, how did this even become an idea for you to begin with, let alone actually executing it and killing it?
Yeah, the second part was the hard one. Thank you so much for having me on today. I do love to share my story. I'm so similar to so many. I got my license when I was 18, kind of was in and out of the beauty field my whole life. I would dabble into different things, whether it was waxing or facials or hairstyle. I was a hairstylist for years, and I just never found like the thing that I loved. And then I found lashes. And that was it for me. Lashes to me were like glue. I literally, once I took the first class, I was terrible. I sucked. I was awful. I went home and cried that how could I be so terrible at this new thing that I'm so excited about? But I stuck with it and went to more classes and practiced and really applied myself. And I was like addicted to it. I wanted to get better. And so fast forward to 5, 6 years later, I had my own salon in Los Angeles and we were loving life. Like much like you running a successful business, I had a great staff. We had a great following. We had wonderful clients. Everything was going so well. And I would sit there and think, God, these lights are so annoying. How has no one ever figured out a better lighting solution? Because you have the tripods that you go to stretch. I was in California, small treatment rooms. But I would go to stretch and my leg would kick over a tripod and I have to catch it, have like a mini heart attack while my client's sitting there sleeping. Like, what would happen if a light falls on her? Let me catch that quick. And then we tried filming lights and they gave off so much heat that we'd all be like, sweating. So we'd have the air conditioners cranked as high as possible. And our clients would come in shivering, asking for blankets. Like there just wasn't a right lighting solution. And I really didn't do much with it there, to be honest. It was kind of just one of those things that was in the back of your head. And as the years went on, and as I replaced my lights numerous times, and as my employees still continued to complain about every light that I brought into the studio, I thought there just has to be a better solution to this. And so I was hanging out with my husband and we were talking about like, there has to be a perfect light. And he said, well, you complain about these lights. Like I've literally heard you complain about these lights for like 2 years and we have to make a line in the sand. Either you're done talking about it or you do something about it. And I was kind of like, I don't make lights. I'm a lash artist. And he said, okay, like, let's talk about it. What would it look like? So we were at a bar having some wine and I took a napkin sketch with a pen, asked the server if you can borrow her pen. And I said, I just want it to look like the top of those old school tanning beds, the kind that you like clamshelled on top of yourself, like that art, that design. And then it has to have a flat base and it has to be like heavy. It has to be stable. These lights fall over all the time. It's like a liability. And so we got a napkin sketch and he pretty much said, perfect. There you go get that made. And we kind of laughed it off and left it at that. And then I went back to work the next day and I was thinking, God, if I could really do this, it could change so many people's lives. It could change so many industries across so many countries. Like I'm a world traveler. I've been to 64 countries. So when I like to think big. I like to think about every other country out there and every other person living in these countries. And I thought, oh my God, this is so much bigger than just me. And so I really started applying myself into what would it take. And we found a local metal shop that made us the frame. We got in some electronics and kind of pieced it together. It wasn't safe. There was wires hanging out everywhere, but we got enough of an idea to realize like, oh my God, this could change everything. So then I got really serious about it. Like, how would I get a prototype made? And we got our first prototype made. And then we got the second one. And I realized that when my girls would fight over who got to lash under the light in their room, that we really were onto something. But that's kind of where it stopped. And so this is all like September 2019. Fast forward to January 2020. We finally had like a third prototype that worked. And the clients would come in my room going, "Oh my God, that light is so cool." I said, "Oh, thank you. It's mine. It's my idea." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I got it made because I was just wondering if this would work. And now we all fight over who could lash in that room under that light. So it works." And my clients would say, like, "Why don't you go make that a company?" And I said, I'm so happy here. Like, I love seeing you guys. We got a good thing going in the beauty industry. Like, you build until you're really proud of something you built, and I'm there. So it just seems strange to like want to pursue this product company. I mean, I guess if I ever get the time, I'll do it. But when am I ever going to get the time? I'm fully booked. We have a busy place. I'm running payroll at 11 o'clock on Thursday nights. Like, when am I ever going to get the time? And then fast forward to March of 2020, which we all remember, where we got a local call saying, due to state restrictions, you guys are closed in the personal care services for an indefinite amount of time. And nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew, like, how long is this going to last? Is it 3 weeks, 3 months? I mean, 3 days? Nobody was thinking years, and here we are still. And so it was really, that is what spurred me into it. I got my salon settled. We got my girls straightened out. We figured out our plan of action now that we're closed. We sent out the emails to everyone. We're in this with you. We miss you and your lashes. We're going to get through this together. And then once I got the salon to a stable place, it was one of those moments where you looked at that light and thought, if I ever get the time, I think I was just given the time, and I took all kind of focus and resources and flipped it into, let's get this thing made. Like, let's make this a real product. And a lot of times I bring this up because we all have that moment in life, that point at which, are we really going to do it, or are we just thinking about it? And that moment for me was in that moment. And the only reason I had enough courage and bravery to do it was literally because everything else was in a spiral out of control. I had no clue how long my salon was going to be closed. I had no clue when we were going to reopen. I had no clue if my staff was going to stay with me or if my clients were going to stay with me. And so it was almost like, well, what's one more thing? What's one more thing? And if it doesn't work, then I can always restart. And I always think back to COVID as kind of my launch point, because it really was, that was the time. Not only was I just gifted this time to focus on everything, but it was the exact right amount of courage that I needed when everything else was in a free fall. What's one more thing? So we switched gears, placed a PO. I found a company that would take an order size that I was willing to kind of front. And we did half up front, and it wiped out my account. And I thought, oh, wow, this is a really big step. And if it doesn't work out, at least I'll know I tried. But also, that's terrifying to think about. And here we are. And so we placed the first PO, and that was around, April of 2020. May, I had a proper business name. We had a website. We were open for sales. I got my first sale in May 9th, 2020, the day I put the website up, or the day I launched it live. You can purchase this. Sales are now live for a pre-sale. The sale came in an hour later, and I thought, oh my God, okay, we're doing this. And then from there, we kind of launched. I mean, it's a much longer story than that. So if you want to pick into it, please do. But that's really how we got started.
Yeah. I mean, I think back to, it's funny because we probably started lashes around the same time. Like, I remember my first light was literally one of just like the spa lamps with the magnifying glass, like that horrible overhead light. And then it was like, and then you had like I don't want to put any other companies down, but you had like the cheaper ones that were a little bit like head heavy, and they would always fall on your client's face. And it's funny